November is pretty much over, December is upon us, so it's time to get our journals set up for the month ahead. I always like to have my start of month pages completely filled in so that I can hit the ground running for the new month. So we're going to be filling in my working on list, populating my monthly calendar, and just getting all of my layouts ready for use. Now, in today's video, we are being joined by a guest, which would be this guy here. I'm calling him JT. He's going to be sitting in today and hopefully not getting in the way. I keep accidentally catching him on things and it's really bloody painful. The long story short of it, with not so many gruesome details, I slipped while I was cutting chicken. Ew. And when we wrapped up my finger with a bandage, it kind of looked like it had ears, so I drew a little face on it for some decoration. JT here stands for just the tip, and let me know, do you think he looks more like a bear, a dog, or a cat? But before we start working on December, we actually need to flip back and have a look at my November pages and make sure those are all filled in first. I always like to start with the kind of like current month. Quote, I can't bend this finger, that really hurts. We're gonna need to have like a pain counter. Pain counter 1, no quotation marks. But as said, I do like to start with the month that we're currently in before I move into the new month and set up those pages, making sure that everything in here is filled in, up to date, and I can migrate the relevant information forward. Rather than starting on the first page here, which is reflections, I'm actually gonna look through the other pages first, and then make the reflection the last thing I do in November. Mainly because flipping through all these other pages and making sure that they're filled in is going to kind of jog my memory as to what happened in the month, or possibly as we go through I might jot down some thoughts on here just so that I don't have to try and remember them. But our first page is the working on list. This is where I summarize the actions, so things I want to do for my goals, my projects, which is other things that are multi-step processes that are outside of the goals I've set for myself, and then tasks, which are one-off things. I only filled in my actions list before I started in November. I didn't touch the projects list, I didn't touch the task list. Actually, I filled this in before we started filming because I felt bad that there was so much empty space on this layout. So I guess a challenge would be not having my working on page filled in. Just gonna jot that down so that I remember about it. So not having my working on page filled in before the month starts. This is something that I know is always an issue for me. I find that if I don't have this page completely filled in before the month starts, I just feel like I'm starting the month on the back foot and I never feel like I get caught up. Like, yes, I still make the most of my month and I get things done, but I always get this kind of niggling feeling that I could have done better because I didn't go in with a plan. In terms of stuff done on these lists though, I have only done that. Like, I have not done any of these things, so those things will either possibly get moved forward or I might evaluate as to whether I actually want to bring them forward, just given the fact that December is usually quite busy. And then in terms of projects, getting ahead on the podcast, we are making progress on, but that one is going to continue forward. Life gamification system, I have been working on it, so I'm gonna give myself a check mark even though it's not done. Like, I have worked on it. So progress has been made even if it isn't completely finished. If I was using a cross instead of a check mark, I might do like a half cross here, but I'm doing check mark, so I'll just put a check mark down. Balance of home loan, which I spelled terribly. I kind of like started thinking about how loan was spelt while I was writing home, so home is now H-O-A-M. I make these little spelling errors in my journal all the time, but oftentimes I just don't fix them. Like, unless it's a main header, I'm not gonna pay that much of a close attention to each individual piece of text in the layouts, so trying to fix it would actually draw more attention to the mistake, so I just leave it. But I haven't set that up. I need to set that up before December starts, but because I do cyclic planning, it means that my December, I'm not allowed to quote mark, December actually starts a little bit before the end of November, so that one is going to get moved forward. I'm not going to put a migration arrow in here just yet because it hasn't been migrated yet. When I actually migrate it, then it will get the arrow. Flipping on over though, in terms of my self-care bingo, I have done 6 out of my 9 things. I haven't gotten ahead by 4 videos. I almost did, and now I'm behind again. And I feel like somebody is going to keep me behind, but it's fine. Read a book for fun. I haven't completed the book, so I don't think it counts yet. And play Xbox. It's sad that I haven't gotten any Xbox time in this month. I know it's a busy season. I know I've been working a lot, so it kind of makes sense. And also because my parents are staying with us, my default kind of leisure mode activity has been hanging out with them, so yeah, it makes sense that that hasn't gotten done. In terms of our membership outputs, I have done the live reminder today. I have not prepared the release schedule or the welcome post for next month, and I haven't done any of these other tasks. Though these ones are all kind of like bonus tasks. They didn't actually have to be done during this month specifically. I was more so giving myself some space to say like, hey, here are some extra things you could do to get ahead for next month. So I'm not too sad about them not having been completed. In terms of newsletters, I haven't been coming in here to check off when I've written them. So I'm going to flip back to my year at a glance so I can see which weeks I'm talking about. Currently for me, it's week 47 or the end of week 47. And I haven't written my newsletter for week 48, but I have written 47. So looking back to here, we actually have 2 weeks to check off because, as said, I don't tend to flip back and look at this for the newsletters. I come back and flip back for memberships and videos, but for newsletters I kind of just, write, check, release, and then do it again the next week. I'm looking forward to making some kind of like newsletter idea bank, mainly because I have a lot of good ideas for things that I want to talk about in the newsletters, and then every week when I come to write my newsletter, it's like I just forget about all those good ideas. So having some kind of like record of those thoughts would be nice. Also, if you're not part of the email newsletter team, you should totally sign up. Well, you don't have to, but you should totally sign up. There's a link in the description box. In terms of videos, I have done the December plan with me, notably because this is the December migration, so we would hope so. I did this live stream. What was the topic though? I think that was 2025 themes, or like new journal themes. That's the one. Nujo theme. I left it blank because that one was a topic picked by our members. So each month they get to vote to say what they want the theme of one of the live streams to be, like what do they want the topic to be, and they picked new journal setup themes. In terms of the rest of these ones were all bonus get ahead videos, so they're all things that are releasing in December rather than November, and parts of these have been done. So for instance, like idea generation for the January giveaway setup, that's done. Preparing the documents and filming has been done, but I haven't done any editing for it. And then for instance, for some of these I've done like parts of, but not enough to actually check it off. Like for instance, the long-term collections journal flip through, I have ideas about it. It is so hard not to do the air quotes because I do them so often. I need to like tape this finger up in a way which means I can't bend it as much, but anyway. I have done some idea generation around it, but I don't think that there's enough of a plan in place to actually check off that idea generation has been completed. I guess I could say that the materials for the flip through are done because it's a flip through, like, the journal's there, it's already set up, I just flip through it. And I guess in terms of December migration, idea generation has been done because we're here and filming already. And I guess also the materials are prepped because I've already set up for December. I just need to actually populate it, which is what we do in these migration videos. I think that's about all for these ones though. So flipping over, and then we have the monthly log, or what I call my cyclic overview. I'm still not very good at using these, but we can go and do some little check marks of things that have occurred, like the live stream. We'll also fill in the topic of the live streams. That was the Nujo themes. We can also note that today, so the end of my cycle, we are going to see Wicked, which I'm excited for. Everyday journal set up yesterday. That one got released. The live reminder got pushed forward because I was still deciding what I wanted to do for our live stream. So that live reminder went out today. I don't necessarily keep this to be the most accurate record of when things actually happened, but it's one of those layouts that if I do include it, I don't get great use out of it. But if I don't include it, I do miss it. So it's one of those things I would like to get a little bit better, a little more consistent with using this layout. But it also doesn't bother me so much when I get to the end of the month and it's not completely filled in full packed to the rafters kind of a thing. We do have a bunch of other things in here that need the little dots. I love these dot markers. They are absolutely brilliant. They were one of the purchases that I've made for my journal where I was like really skeptical, like, oh, do you really need a dot marker? Like you can draw little circles, but they're just so handy and they make it so much faster and they look cute. Wicked hasn't technically happened yet, so I'm not going to check it off. The live reminder has gone out though, so I can check that off. And I'm very much looking forward to, in terms of like this migration process and getting things filled in, I'm looking forward to getting my calendar for December filled in, because right now I feel kind of like a scatterbrained mess. Like, when are things happening? When are we filming? When are we editing? Yada yada. And even though I did just say like, oh, I'm not very good at, getting in, filling this in and whatever, I think it's really that peace of mind that comes with having it filled in at the start of the month, having that kind of overview at the very start of the month to say, hey, this is when I'm planning on doing things, even though at the end of the month month I don't necessarily have it completely filled in or like a very accurate record of what was happening or anything like that. In terms of monthly pages though, I have, monthly log, work outputs, self-care bingo, working on, and then reflections. And then after this we get into my weeklies and dailies. Now, a weekly for me, quote, quote, I'm just going to start trying to do the quotation marks with those two. Quote, quote. Those ones are really just these 3 main sections. So I have a little routines box or like a habit tracker, a meal plan, and then a priorities list. What I mainly want to do in this kind of section with all of these daily and weekly logs is just go through and migrate anything that needs to get carried over to December, move things into other places if they don't belong in this journal anymore. For instance, if they belong in like my yearly collections journal or my future me problems list, or if they belong in my long-term collections journal or anything like that. But that task is very much a transition from November into December, so before we do that, we are going to go and have a look at the reflection. Now, thinking about some wins, one of the biggest wins we had is that we did reach 100,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel, which is so exciting. So if you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of that. I was hoping that I'd get to see it like tick over from 99,999 to 100, but I woke up and it was 100,007. So I just missed it, but it's all good. It's very exciting. Another win, I think, would be getting the giveaway journal set up. There's something about setting up a full 6-month journal all at once or within a very short span of time that I always find very daunting. And this time I set it up so I did all of the weekly layouts as well. In terms of all of those monthly setups, I have also filmed all of them, so those are going to be coming out on the channel as additional videos. A challenge will definitely be maiming my finger, because as cute as JT is in terms of his little face, I would really have preferred to have not done that. When I'm filling in the wins, challenges, lessons, that kind of thing, I'm mainly thinking about my goals. So like goals that I'm currently working on are 1, Vlogmas, so making sure that I get a video out on the channel for every day in December. 2, my office revamp and organization, which is why I've had desk cable management on this list for so many months. And I just keep putting it off because it feels like quite a daunting task, even though I know it's like not going to take that long, but still. And the 3rd one is being more intentional about my lunches. I figured rather than focusing on like healthy eating across all of my meals at once, I would just focus on lunch because I know it's a big problem point for me. Which I will say, I have been having some better lunches, so I'm going to write down some better lunches because it's definitely not like a routine or a habit or anything just yet, but I have been doing a bit better. And that's nice. In terms of memories, we have movie nights with the fam, we have the sale of the childhood home, which is my parents' home, which is now sold, making spooky food for Rachel's Halloween gathering, because her Halloween gathering was in November, because, want to put that on the weekend, repotting and nursing my plants, which I've been very excited about. We had a birthday dinner for Jonga, who's my brother's fiance, and then hopefully, I'm gonna fill it in. We're just gonna call it now. I'm gonna go see Wicked, and it's gonna be awesome. So Wicked with the friend fam, being careful not to hit JT in the head. Other memories would include waking up to my 100,007 subs. My family and I had a yum cha date, which was really fun. And if you're ever filling one of these things in for yourself and you're like, oh gosh, what did I even do this month? Anything like that, just flip back to where you have your monthly log, scan your eyes over this. Was there anything that kind of stood out as important or memorable or anything like that? And also go and have a look at your daily logs too, or your weeklies, depending on what you use. But oftentimes there are things in here that can kind of help jog your memory for stuff that was memorable. Although you don't necessarily need to have every single space on this list filled in, I do like it when my journal looks full and, completely filled in. The space has been properly utilized. So I just flipped back and forth through my daily logs, pulling out any little pieces of information. I always try to make sure that the bigger elements are in there first, so the big wins, the big memories, and then if I have any bonus space, I'll go fill that in with smaller happenings. Another thing that I noticed is that I totally had another project, which was repotting my plants, so we can put that one in as well. I don't need this list to be completely, up to date, very accurate, but it is nice to have at least something logged as completed, because otherwise my checked off section is looking a little bit barren. I've been getting very into houseplants lately. But the other sections we have on here are lessons, so things that I learnt either about myself or as a goal getter, or about how I like or don't like to do things, anything along those lines. And I'm gonna write down found that iced tea is a good substitute for water. I mean, even though tea is like mildly diuretic, the benefits of having the water are still kind of like, they outweigh the diuretic effect. And here I'm thinking about iced tea that I make at home rather than store-bought, because then you can control, like the amount of flavoring, the amount of sugar, what type of flavoring, all of that kind of thing. Mum and I have been making some iced teas, which have been very nice. So in terms of my need and to try section, this is usually something that I consider before I start setting up for the new month, because it's mainly things that are related to my journal. Like, what do I need in my setup? What do I want to try in my setup? So things that I've noted down were staying sane through Vlogmas and gift planning, which is why I have a gift plan layout in December. And then in terms of things to try, inking stencils, I use that, and I also kind of want to trial my gamification system. We had a video recently go up on the channel about how that's going to work out, so if you're curious about it, that's the next one to watch. But I figured it would be good to give it a test run in December, just so I can iron out any of the kinks before I start the new year, so I can very much hit the ground running. I don't think I'm going to set any layouts up in my journal for it. I might keep it digital, just because if I decide to make changes after the first week, I don't want to have penned in a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't really hold or work anymore. Other things that they're not necessarily needs, but there's stuff that I want to continue with, is the daily highlight. And this is where at the start of the day, before I kind of get underway with my work, I've just been going in and putting a little dot at the very top of my task list, as that is the main focus for the day. That is the kind of one thing that you want to make sure that you're actioning or getting done. That's been very helpful for kind of like narrowing in and focusing on a particular task or particular project, depending, making sure that that's the thing that gets done so I can finish the day still feeling accomplished. And another thing that I kind of want to try, and this is a habit that I want to bring in to the new year, is doing my daily log before I go on the internet. Mainly because if I go on the internet first, I'm thinking mainly like email, social media, anything like that, then my priorities for the day get skewed in favor of whatever I've seen on the internet. So, if somebody's like sent me a message through Discord or something saying like, oh, hey, could you make a resource for XYZ or do ABC or whatever. I have that very much like a drop everything in action kind of attitude when it comes to those kind of requests, which often means that other tasks that maybe do have a bit of a higher priority or are a more pressing kind of thing, they get pushed to the back burner. And it would be nice to kind of take charge of my task list and set my own priorities before I let them be set for me by other outside influences. Just something I'm trying. I'll probably put it in my routine tracker or something like that. But now what we're going to need to do is flip ahead to where we actually start December, start thinking about filling in these pages here. So we're going to have to fill in what I'm working on, actions, projects, tasks. We're going to have to fill in my monthly calendar or overview, and then also think about my work outputs and jotting all of the things down in here that I need to. In terms of the gift planning, which is the next section, I don't want any spoilers, but I might do a little bit of light scaffolding in here just so you can see how it's going to get used. I don't want to spoil anybody's gift surprises, but in terms of moving stuff over here, what I actually need to do is go through these pages and pull out anything that needs to be moved forward. So any of these little spaces that you see migrated, that's me moving all of these kind of tasks from previous entries into one space so that I can find them nice and easily. We can also check off a couple of these items, which is kind of nice, but I do need to go through and make sure that I've either crossed off anything that's done, scratched out anything I'm not going to be doing. By scratched out, I mean a very small individual line. I don't mean across my journal, but still. And effectively just pull out anything that needs to be brought forward. To help myself out with that, I'm just going to be using this separate notepad. It says do call email. This was given to me by a colleague. We're just gonna write do, like do. No, we will not be singing that song. For this part though, I just put that spare pad of paper to the side and then flipped through all of the pages of my journal, pulling out anything and everything. Even if it was something that I don't think is going to be coming into December, I wanted to go through and make sure that every single action or task or project or whatever I had recorded in my journal that has not been completed got pulled out so it can be sorted through. This is effectively a form of task batching. So we're just pulling everything out first. We're not trying to sort through it. We're not trying to say oh yes, this is coming into December. This is going into the long-term collections journal or anything like that. Just pulling all of those tasks out so that then after they're all on that extra sheet of paper, then I can sort through them. For anything that isn't getting pulled out but was still an open task bullet, I'm either crossing it off to say that it's been completed or crossing it out to say that I'm not going to be doing it. Essentially though, by the end of this step, I shouldn't have any open task bullets in any of the pages for November. After going through all of the pages, this is what I have on my list so far. I haven't fully gone through and moved over everything from Friday and Saturday's list, mainly because it's currently Sunday. I might still action some of these things today. I still have time to do that. So rather than moving them over and then writing them back in and checking them off and yada yada yada, I'd rather just keep them here for now and then make this the one page that I have to check off at the end of the day and pull out anything that hasn't been completed, move those things over. Every other page though has been completely looked at. Now what I need to do though is go through this list and start to organize the entries. For this part, I'm again going to be using dot markers, just in a couple different colors. So green is going to be for things that are coming with me into December. I'm just going to write that down so I remember what the colors mean. Anything in yellow is going to be something that needs to become a future me problem, so that's going to go into the yearly collections journal, the YCJ. I know that's really faint and you probably can't read it, but this list is for me, so you don't really need to be able to read it. But we've also got this kind of like peachy salmon-esque kind of color. What does it actually call itself? Island coral. Oh, so island coral is going to be for anything that in theory I could just do. So I'm gonna write just do it. That's effectively for tasks that they're only going to take like 2 minutes, so I don't see the point of rewriting them in my journal to then continue to neglect them when I could just do them like effectively now. And I think we're going to need one more color, mainly because it's just information rather than anything else. So info. And in particular, I'm thinking about all of these ones along the side here, which are just reading journal page ideas. They don't actually have a specific action tied to them right now. I don't have to do anything with that information, but I need to note them somewhere, possibly in the spot that I'm kind of like planning out my reading journal setups or something like that. Maybe write them on sticky notes, put them in the journal or something, but effectively what I'm going to do is just go through the entire of this list and pull out anything that needs to go into one of these categories. So for instance, the membership tasks, YouTube video tasks, and newsletter tasks, they're all going to get summarized in my work outputs layout, so they are all coming into December. Something that is very much a just do it task is this task called Snickerdoodle recipe, mainly because it either just requires me to check that we have the recipe logged, or if we don't have it logged, send my mum a message and ask her to send me the recipe, because we made them the other week and they were really good. Same idea with a bedtime alarm, like I can just set that, I can just get my phone out and do it, to the extent that we're just gonna do that now. I think I'll set my bedtime alarm to be 9:30. Not to say that like, oh, you should be in bed at 9:30, but more so this is me telling myself like, hey, you should like get off your computer, you should get ready for bed, that kind of thing. I'm gonna write sleepy time. And the repeat should be every day. There we go. In terms of sound, oh, yeah, nah. I don't actually want it to have a sound because I don't want it to be kind of like interrupty, and I don't want it to be snoozable, so I'll just save that one. And now I can check it off because I did it. Done. Other things that are coming into December though, logging gift values, making cookies, planning the rest of the advent calendar because it's like for December, so it does need to be planned. The budgeting, dealing with what I like to call the fuck it bucket, which is effectively just like stationery supplies that are, you know, either not used or very lightly used. They're still in very good quality, very good nick, but they're just not from my stash anymore. So I need to find a new home for them. Getting ahead on the podcast, we're going to be doing that. The home loan tracker, we need to do that. Having a conversation about team names. I feel like that one can be one that I just do. I can just do that today because it requires me to send a message, like it's not that hard. This one in particular is for our memberships through the channel and giving them names that aren't just like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, making them a little bit more personable. I already know what the tier 3 name is going to be, but I need to decide on tiers 1 and 2. And I know I've already got suggestions from people who are part of the team with capital T, but need to actually get on and do that. Same idea with announcing the memberships. It feels, I don't know, weird to make a video that is just designed to be like, hey, we have a channel membership, and I know that promotion is important, and I know that there's value in the membership. It's just actually making a video to promote it feels odd, and thus I keep putting it off. Desk cable management will be happening. Installing the desk curtain though, I really need to wait for my parents' stuff to get here, and that one kind of like arrives mid-December, and I don't want to be like, hey, your stuff's like just gotten off a boat, make me a desk curtain. That's not friendly. So that one, no. But listing lunches I like, and doing 20 minutes of research, I would like to do those. Need to schedule it on my calendar to get that done. Naming the membership tiers formally. Reading spreadsheet is one that's going to be probably a project for next month because I want it ready to go for 2025. The layout library list, that was something I probably should have added into my monthly setup for December. That one is again related to the memberships because members who have access to the premium resource library have a, funnily enough, like library, or effectively like a picture library of all of the layouts that we've had on the channel. And while I am part of the way through uploading all of those, I still have a decent chunk left to photograph, make sure that they look nice, and upload. So I want to make a kind of formal list of all of the ones that I still have to do so that I can make sure that I get everything up there. Moana 2 view time, that one comes out in December, or like comes out at the end of November, so gonna need to make sure I get onto that. Watching the stack method videos, I think that'd be really helpful. Getting a birthday gift for my goddaughter. Her birthday is at the start of December, so that needs to be done. And then an ideal weekly calendar. I feel like that one's more of a future me problem than it is something that I specifically want to do in December. Like I could do it in December, but I don't know if that's something that I specifically want to say like, hey, this is a December project or whatever. Life area updates with a proper kind of reflection process, similar idea there. And then updating the back of journal pages in my journal would be a good December task as well. Now, as we have color coded the list though, this information can get brought forward into the December pages. So this is thinking about like which ones of these are for the actions list because they're related specifically to my goals. Which ones of these are just projects that I want to do in addition to my goals? Which ones are one-off tasks? So these ones can get pulled into here, and then anything that's yellow can go into the yearly collections journal. Anything that's red is going to get done today, and anything that's blue, I need to put that information somewhere else. I'm thinking I'm gonna put this information on Notion, mainly because that's where my video calendar is, and I have like any kind of, scripting or information about the videos or anything logged in there. So I think it just makes a little more sense to put it there. So we'll just type that one up. Maybe next or potential reads, so on and so forth. It is really hard to do this without using JT. Making a lot more spelling errors because of it. But those ones are now all dealt with, so we can cross those off. And now it's just a case of writing the other ones in. Effectively here though, what I did was just go through each of the items on the list that I'd highlighted in green and found which section would be most appropriate for them. Like, do I want to put it in the actions list because it's for goals? Is it a separate project? It goes in the projects list. I also added a highlight down the left-hand side of the boxes for the actions list, projects, and tasks, mainly to keep it similar to what I've done in previous monthly setups. I like this one to feel a little bit more special than just a regular task list, even though there is a task list section. It isn't super necessary, I just like the way it looks. In going through, I know that some of the things I've added to the task list are more like projects, but they're small enough that I can kind of trick myself into thinking that they're tasks. Things like getting birthday gift for Alina. I know there are multiple steps involved, like, figuring out what we want to get, going and getting it, wrapping it, all of that kind of stuff. But those steps are kind of small, or it feels smaller compared to some of the things that we have on the projects list. It just feels really nice to actually have these 3 sections, not just one, all 3 of them filled in before the month starts. A couple times there I totally flexed my finger wrong though, so JT is very sore. But it's okay, we persevere. This lessons space is actually related to the monthly reflection because I have this decoration in this corner. It meant that the spacing on this needed to be adjusted and kind of flowed over a little bit. But in terms of the items on here that were in green that haven't been crossed off, those are the ones related to my work outputs. So the membership tasks, the video tasks, and the newsletter tasks, which are all going to get added onto a separate page. The next layout to set up though, that one is going to be the monthly calendar. And for this one, it's really just about going through my Outlook calendar and seeing what's on there. I mean, technically you can also check the future log, but I've got 3 things on here, but I already kind of knew they were happening, so it's like, really just adding those in. Now, usually I would use a dot marker, you know, to put the dot down and then write in what the thing is. I haven't picked out a dot marker for this setup, so I'm not too sure if I want to use one. Though it would be nice to have a dot marker for the, I don't know, daily highlight and stuff. I'm wondering if this green that we've been using wouldn't be too bad. I'm thinking like, will it match in with this one? Because I do have a red, but the red is very punchy and this is a little bit more subdued. This is where my tendency to hoard paper offcuts can come in handy though, so I can just take out a little piece of paper. These ones have all been cut off from my journal, so they're same kind of like color and paper type, so I can see how the pens will behave or how they'll actually look on a separate piece of paper rather than putting them into the journal. So this green, it is a decent chunk brighter than the one that I've used here. And we also have, what, island coral again? I don't think we're going to be using island coral, but I don't know, maybe. There is a little bit of kind of like an orangey color in some of these, but I don't really have a good orange in the dot markers. I'll just get the pencil case out and have a little look at what we've got. We can have like fluoro orange. Yeah, it's a no from me. This dark green is too blue. We do have a red, we'll check that one. And we've got kind of like a paler green, but I don't think that'll work. I don't want to use any of the metallic ones because there's nothing metallic in the setup already. We can also try a grey because we've used second line highlights in grey, so at least that kind of matches. Oh, I totally just bent JT again. We could also check the pale brown and the pale orange. So put those onto our little piece of paper, see which one we like the best. I'm not feeling like super optimistic about these. Maybe the grey or possibly the brown. The red down here. My paper is just ever so slightly too short to have them all very evenly spaced, but that's fine. So going across and having a look at how these look compared to other parts on the page, I'm thinking that that brown might be a good option just because it kind of matches some of the browns that we've got in the little stickers. And we don't have an overwhelming amount of brown, but it's kind of subdued, which is nice. The red is just too punchy, so that's not going to work. The island coral is a little bit too peachy, salmony kind of a color, so it doesn't really work either. Should probably start eliminating these as we go through. So we said the red was too punchy. We said the brown and the grey are potentials. Island coral has already been kicked out, so that's fine. In terms of the greens, I think that they don't quite match. I don't think that the lime, well, I think it's technically called kiwi. I don't think the kiwi works because the green we've used on here is just a little bit more subdued. So it kind of looks like, oh, you tried to color match it and it just didn't work out. And these other ones don't really fit. The only other one I would be potentially considering would be this pale orange, which seems like an interesting choice, but it doesn't not work with the colors. I'm also just going to put the same brown in that I've been using for this month as a kind of comparison point. So that brown I actually don't dislike either. I mean, it's not really a brown, it's called fawn, but kind of a brown, an orangish brown. But it's kind of subdued like the red and the green is, which is kind of nice. But it doesn't look so washed out like the other brown. I'm going to flip this over, I'm going to test them out again. Just have the ones that we're contending with here, not all of them together, because it's also thinking about which one is going to look okay over the top of a grey highlight. Because while that pale orange does look kind of nice, when I go and try and put that over the top of, you know, this every second line grey highlight, it is going to look a little bit muddied. I'm thinking I might use the one at the bottom. Mainly because I think that the other ones feel too washed out and it'd be nice to add just like another little sprinkling of color, especially because I use these dots to indicate something important or special. So in the case of this, it's like, oh, hey, you have an event on this day, please pay attention to it. In the case of my daily logging, I put that at the top of each list and also on here, but at the top of each list and on my priorities list so that my eye is drawn to those things. So that'll be kind of nice. We'll put these ones away, so we like to keep things tidy. She lied. I'm terrible at keeping my desk tidy, to be completely honest. Maybe I'm turning over a new leaf. It's fine. And this is going to be the color we go with, fawn. So Things to add in. We have live streams every Monday. Some of them are, team member exclusive. Some of them are open for the entire of the community, but they happen on all of the days. We also have videos that go out every Thursday, so making sure we put this dot in the right place, because that would be unfortunate otherwise. So Thursday videos, and we have Saturday videos. Again, putting the dots in the right place, that helps. But we also have a video every day on the channel for the entire of December. So we're going to put in all of the dots for all of those videos as well. This kind of like doubles as an outputs calendar, so I can see when videos are coming out, check off once I've done the stuff necessary to get them release ready. Not the 29th, almost put a dot there, but the 6th, 13th, 20th, 27th, and then all of this section as well. It's actually surprising how many times I flex my finger just in kind of like, regular use, because I can feel it pull and it hurts and I don't want to do that. By flex my finger, I mean like, when you kind of bend the tip, this part of your finger. Anytime I do that, it is painful. If I just bend from there, yeah, this does not hurt. That's fine. It's just when I bend that top part, and I kind of keep doing that for any kind of grasping motion. It's okay. I'll keep you safe, JT. Don't worry about it. So that's video releases in. Technically, we also have podcasts though, and podcasts are separate to what goes up on the regular channel. And those ones are coming out on my time, the 4th and the 18th. So for most of our viewers, it would be the 3rd and the 17th. And I don't know if we're doing one for the 1st. I think we are though, so I'm gonna put one down anyways. Now I do like to write live on these ones, but for all of the video content, that feels like spoilers. Of course though, by the time you see this one, then you kind of know that this one is the December migration video. And that means that our collab video came out yesterday. It's always fun working with other YouTube creators. It's also fun to work with brands and stuff, but it's kind of nice. It feels very kind of like community based when you're working with other creators in your niche. But we of course also had the Thursday video, which was all about the Life Admin RPG. And this live stream was for members specifically. It feels kind of weird like talking about it as if it's already happened, because right now it is Sunday 24th for me. But anyway, for the podcast episodes, I'm just gonna go and write pod ... so that then I can fill in a little brief description of the title so I know what this is. But for all of the other videos, I'm just gonna leave those open, which means then we're on to thinking about the events. First event up, we have Alina's birthday gathering, we have Friendmas happening on the 21st, and we have what we're fondly calling Jubba Lubba Ding Dong, which is effectively like a book reading retreat type thing. It's like book swap and just cozy reading day, and I don't want that to go too far over, so we will stop writing that there. We of course have Christmas, and we have Boxing Day, we have New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, which in terms of when I'm actually going to be using this stuff for, my use of this calendar is going to stop on the 29th because my new year, don't do the quotation marks, my new year starts on the 30th, but we'll put the dots in for these things, because what I also want to do on here is start to map out when I'm going to be having kind of like dedicated filming days versus dedicated editing days, because when you've got this much content coming out, it's very good to batch things together, like, do all of my videos that require me to have like a talking head segment at the same time, so I don't have to keep on like plugging in and unplugging my camera and stuff. Then do as much editing as I can at the same time, within reason. Editing is not my favorite thing. Oh, good to note that we also have a video coming out on the 4th of January, which feels just silly to be talking about, but I want to make sure it's complete. We also have podcast recording days, pod record, that works. And those are also happening on the 4th and the 5th for me. Pod, which looks more like pop now, but it's fine. I know what I meant. Podcast recording. We could even write ing. I've got enough space for that, so it's not like I'm setting a record or anything like that. And it's also good to know that every Thursday is laundry day, so I need to put those ones in as well. And that's not to say that I'd like forget to do my laundry unless it was on the calendar, but it's nice to have it there as a reminder that that's happening during the day. So if I go and try and schedule other things, it's like, hey, just remember this is also laundry day and you need to have time to do that as well. Just helps me kind of like pay attention to how many things I'm trying to schedule on the same day so I don't overload myself. Not to say that laundry takes me like that long, but I am very good at neglecting to put the clothes away after they've been dried. It's also good to note that the live stream we have on the 9th, or for a lot of people the 8th, but you know, that one is going to be a goal setting workshop, which I'm very excited about. So if you're wanting to like, you know, get your goals sussed for the new year, make sure that you come along and join us. And that does mean that on the 8th, I'm going to be doing workshop prep to make sure that all of the materials for that are ready. Talking about goals, we of course also have the Epic Goals check-ins. So we have Epic on the 3rd, which is like our kind of start of month check-in. We then also have our work along, which is the week after. It's effectively like a body doubling session. And then we also have our mid-month check-in just to kind of re-motivate ourselves. And of course, if you want more information about Epic, that is linked in the description box. So we can put in the dots for those and the workshop prep. What we also have are YouTube meetings, which is just like me and a couple of my YouTube friends who make videos for YouTube. We just meet up and talk about YouTube stuff. So whether that be like using your analytics or how we use other platforms or anything like that, because I don't really have colleagues, quote quote. It's nice to have somebody to talk shop with. And we'll also have another meeting on the 19th because we have one every 2 weeks. Though we probably won't have one on the 2nd, I assume. We might take a break for that one. Just, you know, new year, people are busy, family time, all of that kind of stuff. But I'll at least put in the ones that we have for December. Also good to note that we have Bujo Tuesdays. So that will be on this Tuesday. Now, that being said, I know that Rachel said that she might have to change it back to Wednesday, so I might only put the first one in just before I kind of confirm with her, because I don't want to go and write Bujo Tuesday on all of the Tuesdays and be like, oh, it's not actually happening because it's on Wednesday now, or anything like that. Rather save my planner from having a whole bunch of messy scribbling in it. So I guess that's technically something that we could add to the task list, is confirm the Bujo schedule, which is really just confirming which day of the week they're going to be on, but it's cool. We also have our community events though, so one of those is going to be the book club meeting, which is on, well, the 1st for me. This one's for our November book club book. And then our book club meeting for the December book is going to be the 5th of January, just because people will probably be busy on the 29th. Plus they might want a little bit of extra time to read it because of the holiday period, all of that. So that will be here, making sure I write it in the right place because I still need a spot to put in my little dot, which currently now has a little black line over it, but it's fine. I'll just leave it there because eventually it's going to get checked off anyways. And we also have our team hangout on the 15th, and this is for tier 3 members, which leads me very nicely into adding all of the content related to memberships. So, you know, when are the exclusive videos coming out, which is actually part of the Vlogmas schedule, so I don't need to put those in. But when is our kind of like exclusive live stream, and thus when is the exclusive live stream reminder, that kind of stuff. So the exclusive members only videos are on the 10th and the 24th. So those ones are members only. And then we have the members live stream on the 30th. Which means that my reminder for that should be going up here, which I've now written in the space that I had for the video, but that's okay, I can just add another dot. I do prefer to have like video content always at the top, just so it's kind of consistently placed. It makes it a little bit easier for using my calendar, but it's fine. I don't care enough that I'm going to go and fix it or anything. This one here is also a members exclusive. That is a work with me live stream. So it's like body doubling, usually a bit longer, which is like get stuff done together, which is quite nice. So it's like, bring your own project, let's just do it together. They also get to pick the topic of a live stream, so the live topic vote will come out here. So that this live stream will be whatever they pick, so we can just do live TP for team pick. We also want to have the work with me reminder, so that they remember that it's coming up. Sometimes YouTube likes to hide things from people. And then also the hangout reminder, so we can just journal and chill together. Always a very fun time. And I mean, if you wanted to do kind of like journal and chill sessions, but you didn't want to join the team with a capital T, like, you know, it's cool, I get it. We also have our community hangouts, and in particular at the end of each quarter, we do this thing called Bujo Bootcamp, where we kind of just, you know, have the free chat or the Bujo Bootcamp chat open for the entire of like the week or a couple days or whatever, just so people can kind of pop in, journal with other people, hang out, be very chill. That's going to be happening at the end of December. Essentially pretty much anywhere from like the 22nd forward kind of a thing, but the event details are on Discord already. We also have the welcome post goes up. This is also analytics day, so I should probably record that and add all of my dots in. Find it hard to remember to do these as we go through. Another perk that they have is knowing what is coming up on the channel, so they get their release schedule of videos to get excited for, and I usually post that the day after the exclusive live stream, so we'll put that one here. At the moment I think that's all I need for this layout, but flipping over we have others that need to be filled in, mainly my work outputs. I'm just gonna add a little clip to the page to keep it held down, mainly because I don't want to do any strenuizing on JT. But for this one, I just need to list out any of the membership perks that are going to get released during the month in question or the cycle, any of the videos we have coming out, which is quite a few videos, and then the week numbers for the newsletter. I'm going to start with this one, so that one's nice and easy because I can just read it off the calendar I've got here. So that is going to be the 48th week through to the 52nd. So week 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, and also the first week of the new year. I'll put that down because it would be nice to get ahead. We'll see if it happens though. In terms of the video content, I'm not going to list out all of them because spoilers, but we can at least list out the ones that are in the upcoming week, because by the time you see this, they'll already be up. So we have the live, which is for the members. We have the Life Admin RPG, which I'm very excited about. I need to, go and do a bunch more planning for it before I make the video, but, by the time you see this, it's already up, so it should be good though. I'm looking forward to it. We have the collab video, which again, it's just nice to work with other people, and then the December migration video, which is this one. I mean, it's probably not a spoiler, but we also have a live stream happening the day after this one goes up, because we always have a live stream. And then in terms of membership perks, we have the release schedule for December. We have the welcome post, which effectively tells them how to access perks and welcomes new members. We have the exclusive video. And in this part, I'm specifically thinking about the post that says hey, we have an exclusive video. The actual preparing of the video ends up in here because these steps are related to video creation. These ones are more related to post creation. We have the work with me reminder and the work with me session. And then we have the hangout reminder and the hangout session, which technically the hangout is happening before the work with me, so probably should have ordered those differently, but it's fine. The reminders at least come out on the same day. We have the live topic vote, the next exclusive video, because we have two, then the live stream reminder, the exclusive stream, and then the release schedule for January. I'm just going to put in brackets January and December so I remember which one I'm thinking about in each instance. That is looking good. As said, still need to add the video content here, but spoilers. And this one is already set up, just need to actually get in and do the things, which I'm excited about. I love the self-care bingo, it's just a lot of fun. So flipping on over, we then have the gift planning section. Now, as said, I don't really want to put spoilers out for these gifts, not that I think that Vogel's gonna watch this video or anything like that, but if, for instance, maybe somebody came across, I don't know, a snippet of it somewhere, I don't want to put it on the internet. What I am gonna do though is write down who I'm buying gifts for. So for instance, in terms of friends, we have Rachel, we have Monica, we have Emily, and we have Scotty. That's not to say that I don't have other friends, but these are the ones that I'm considering buying gifts for. And then in terms of family, I have Mum, Dad, Jonga, and Matt, and I don't know how many gifts I'm getting for each of them. So rather than going and saying oh yeah, Mum gets 2 lines, Dad gets 1 line, yada yada, I'm gonna wait and see what I'm planning on getting them first, and then I'm going to actually go in and fill this in. The way that I'm going to check off whether I have people's gifts, because I've just recognized that I've now put these dots in instead of doing something that it's check offable, which I might go and fix because I think I would like it to be check offable, kind of similar to what we have over here with the priorities list. So I'm going to highlight down the side of this one so that that's ready to go. And I'm going to do the same over here for Vogel's. The reason his is so long is because I want to list out all of the advent days in here. So we're going to put in numbers for each of the days, and then we're going to fix the friends list. So 1, 2, 3, so it's 1 per day for the entire of up to 24, because on the 25th you just get like regular Christmas presents. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 21, 22, 23, 24, and then the lines down the bottom here are for any kind of regular Christmas presents that I get him. Now, fixing up this one, I don't want to just go in over the top with the Tombow because this is not a waterproof pen. It will definitely smudge. Even though technically speaking it is supposed to be one that you can highlight over the top of, I have not found that to be the case, at least not on this journal paper, so I'm not going to test it, mainly because it doesn't need testing. I already know it doesn't work in here, but I'm just going to take this little offcut sticker, which is, you know, anytime I make any kind of layouts for my reading journal and like print the little book covers, there's always a little bit of a border around the stickers that I've made, so I just save all of those offcuts and I use them to fix mistakes, nice and easy. So we can just trim that one here and then go and highlight over the top of it as if nothing happened. Now the only issue here is that obviously when I go over the second line highlights in this section and this section, you can see it darkens up a little bit because we have that doubling up of the Tombow dual brush marker. So I'm going to let that dry and then I'm going to go over it again just on the highlights that are already there. While we wait, we can just list out like, oh, Rachel's gift, this is what I'm going to get her. Monica's, Emily's, Scotty's, like what is it that I'm actually going to buy for each of them. And then for my family list, I will probably be using every single line in this, and I might not actually group it by person. I might just write like, here, okay, one example is Dad, and I know that he wants me to get him a pair of scissors. More specifically these scissors because he saw me using them and I said they were good and he's like, oh yeah, that'd be really handy, so I'm gonna get him some scissors. I'm pretty safe. I don't think Dad is watching this video. If you are watching this video, hi Dad! And I'm gonna put a little dash in next to each of these numbers so I can just list out for each of the days what is it that Vogel is getting, or rather, what am I getting him, and thus he will be receiving. I think that's adequate drying time for the pen, so we can go and add in the second line highlight, which just darkens up that section. Cute. It's not perfect, but it's fine. It fits the vibe. As for filling in my week 1 related content, I actually need to make my meal plan before I can fill any of that in, but I can at least fill in my priorities list. One of these priorities is going to be our live stream. That one's always a priority for me. I enjoy doing them. They're always a bit of fun, and I think that it is good to prioritize fun. We also have the newsletter and doing the epic accountability post. For the other priorities though, I just sat there and did a little bit of brainstorming, thought about what kind of things I have coming up in the week, what tasks or projects do I have on that first working on page that I can make sure happen this week in particular, and really just considered anything that is a little bit time pressured or has an upcoming deadline. In terms of the routines section, now I know there was one we talked about before that I was like, oh, I should add that in as a routine. That was daily logging before the internet. So I'm going to put that at the top because it's effectively like the first thing that I should be doing in the day. So dailies before net. I don't have a very large space to write in here, but I know what I mean. I also want to continue with my stretching because I've been finding it to be helpful. We have the AM and the PM medications. I'm going to write in bed by 11 p.m. mainly because I know that I'm, you know, if I say 10:30, you know, 10:30 is kind of the goal, but if I say 10:30, it's just not going to get done. I'm going to feel lame about myself. At least if I can set the realistic goal of 11 p.m, then I'm much more likely to stick with it. I can ease myself towards an earlier bedtime. The daily highlight is another one that I want to be logging, and I also want to make sure that I have scheduled the day in the calendar. That one's just really helpful for making sure I'm using my time effectively. And we're also going to put down water because I'm just trying to find alternatives to only drinking Coke Zero. As much as I like Coke Zero, it's good to have other sources of water that probably count more as water. I am feeling so much better about knowing what's coming up for the month. Like, you know, what do I need to do in terms of my memberships? What do I have going on in terms of my events? What do I need to do in terms of my actions, projects, and tasks? This one is the one that probably feels like the biggest accomplishment. Having this layout filled in particular is just very peace-inducing for the new month. But if you enjoy this kind of content, you know, planning along with me, migrating into a new month, then this playlist is the next one to check out. That one has all of our previous migration videos, so if you want a journaling buddy, then click or tap on that one and I'll see you over there.